lot of different boards, and I do a lot of Halloween decorations. I've had a lot of questions about how I make different props and everything. One of the things I've been getting a lot of questions about is how I get my skulls to look the way that they do. I just wanted to take you through a quick process of me making a skull and taking this and making it look a lot more like scary and more fitting for like a macabre setting if you want, if that's what you want to do. So what you do is you get a skull like this. You can get it off a skeleton. You can get them from Home Depot around Halloween time. They have two for like $8 or $9 in the bag. You can get them online. And you just want to get one that has a jaw that goes up and down like so. First thing you want to do is take this, pop this out. Once you pop this out, what we're going to do is we're going to stretch the jaw out to kind of like give it a more wide up horror type look. When you do that, take a drill, drill a hole in each of these parts of the jaw. It's okay if it goes through, or if it doesn't go through. There's a couple different ways to do it. You want to do it on both sides. One went through, might as well knock this one through. And you got the jaw pretty well prepped. Next thing I'm going to do is take some wire. Now there's different types of wire that you can use. I use baling wire because that's what I had in my garage. Cut a couple lengths of this. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting them into the jaw. Once you can like string it right through the jaw like this, bend that end up, do the same to the other side. Bend that end up. And what I always like to do is I like to take a little bit of super glue and try to freeze it into place. It just keeps it from moving around a little bit. Do both sides on top and under where you went through. And honestly, once you get to the end step, if you just have it like cement in there a little bit, it's not a big deal. This is just to help you as you go a little bit further. Once you get the wires in there, you're going to take the skeleton, and you'll see that there are holes where it's plugged in before, on the back there and over there. You want to take your wire, bend your wire, and thread it through. And you want to do the same with the other side. Bend your wire. And thread it through. Now, that's probably a lot more wider than I want it, so make it a little shorter. Make it shorter. Just draw the baling wire taut. I guess a little bit more where you want it. And I generally like my skulls, about 4-inch gap between the upper teeth and the lower teeth. Take a pair of wire cutters, cut this short. I don't cut it all the way off because I like to wrap it around the wires already existing, kind of doubles it up, makes it a little bit stiffer. Now take this, wrap this around. Take this, wrap it around over here, and I've got the basis of what I'm looking for. Next thing I'll do is take a little bit of white tape, put a little bit of white tape around here, that way you don't have to worry about getting your fingers or anything caught on here, and go from there. I'll take a little bit of white tape here, pull it off, take it, wrap it around the wire, wrap it around the jaw, it gives a little extra stability. Honestly, that part with the glue, I don't even know if you really need to do that. Rip the tape off. And you got the one side set up. Do the same to the other side. Wrap that around. Tape it to the jaw, just a very small part of the jaw, bottom part of the jaw, and you're almost there. Next thing I'm going to do is I don't want this like swing back and forth here, so I'm going to take something and kind of keep it in place. What I like to use is I like to use this JB Water Weld. It's a putty that you can get that it's an epoxy. I can put it in there into the spot right here. Also on this side, set it aside for like a little bit of time. They'll harden and it'll keep this thing from going back and forth. To do that, just get the epoxy. You don't need a whole lot. Break a piece off. Roll it together. And once you have it nicely mixed, put this in the position you want. And we'll put it on here. Figure out where I want it. Epoxy it into place. Epoxy this side into place. Get the jaw in the position I want, and I'm going to put it aside. So I just finished up the first part of the skull. I had a finished skull off to the side. I'm going to pick it up from here. The skull's already in place. I want to show you what I do from here on out. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to make like this. You can get a lot of different expressions out of a skull using a little bit of clay or using like different things that you can do to build it up. This year I've been going for more of a menacing, like sinister intelligence look in my different props, and that's what I'm going to do today. So let me put this on here. First thing I want to do is get some of this air dry clay. Don't need a lot of it, and I'm going to make the brow of the skeleton or the skull look a little more evil, a little more sinister. And the way you do that is get a little piece of clay here, put it in the center. Get the brow, go across the eye a little bit. And just putting a little bit of clay on there can make it look a little bit more sinister, a little bit more like macabre. Play around with it, push it in there a little bit. Now, if this were to dry on it without doing the stuff that we're going to be doing, it would fall off because it's just air dry clay. Now I don't know, maybe you could like get a little epoxy or something, but what we're going to do is going to eliminate the need for that. We're going to be corpsing this in a couple of minutes, and we're going to be using plastic wrap to corpse it. And as we use the plastic wrap and we put it around here, it's going to hold it on into place. Other things you can do if you want, you can build a nose coming out here, you can extend the jaw, do a whole bunch of different things that'll give it a different like personality, a different type of look to it. Now you can have like 10 of these and none of them have to be exactly the same. You can make them all look different. So, we'll put that right there. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is what's called corpsing. I first saw this in a video by Alan Hops, who runs something called Stiltbeat Studio. It's an awesome video. It's about a 20-minute corpsing video. It shows you how to corpse an entire body. Honestly, it changed the way that I looked at doing my Halloween props. Awesome video. If you get a chance, you should check it out. Stiltbeat Studio, plastic corpsing. So we're going to take a length of plastic painter's tarp. You can get it at Home Depot. You can get a roll for like $2. We're just going to cut off the length of this. You can cut off different lengths, but this will be a good size to wrap around his head here. So you're going to wrap it. Then you cut this into different pieces, so you're wrapping it on like small pieces at a time. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be wrapping the whole thing around it all at one shot. So put my gun over there. Got a little bit of adhesive. I'm going to spray this with adhesive. You don't want to get the pole. Honestly, you don't need a stand or anything. It's just something I made to make some of my props a little bit easier. And since I have it, I'm going to use it. But I'm taking it off right now. So take this off, pull this into place, and just start wrapping this around. Now there isn't like a right way to start wrapping it. You can wrap it different ways. And the different ways you wrap it can give you different patterns, so that when we get to the next step where we start to form the face out and everything, different parts can be accentuated. So we're going to wrap it around there. Make sure you get the top of the head. A little bit more spray. Get back there behind the jaw. Like to get a bunch up by the mouth and the eyes. Now it doesn't matter if it's all scrunched up or everything. When it gets all scrunched up and stuff and you heat it up, it actually puts different patterns and things into the corpsing that can look pretty cool. So when you're done, it's going to look something like this. I have a lot hanging off here, so I'm just going to take a pair of scissors, cut off the very bottom, not too much. And I'm ready for what's for the heat gun. So for this, put it down right here. Start heating it up. As you heat it, it's going to start adhering to itself. It's going to start adhering to the skull. This type of thing you definitely want to do in a very well ventilated area. Normally I would have a mask on. And I'd be doing this probably outside, but because I'm doing the video, I'm doing it a little bit differently. So as you heat it up, try to get it to form the skull, fit pretty well there and all. You don't want to stay in any one area too long. You don't want to start melting everything. I mean, if you have a couple melt marks, it actually looks pretty cool, but you want to try to do that in a little bit of a controlled thing. You'll notice I'm heating it, it's shrinking back, it's getting all wrinkly and crinkly. That's actually good. That's going to give it a little bit of personality a little bit later on. All right. So I've got this, and one of the nice things about this is if you screw it up, it's not a big deal. Let's say you get the mouth, you don't like the way the mouth looks, you can get a lot of different personalities. You can make an O, like it's about to be attacked by something. I'm going to be doing a drawn back, like almost like a Venom type face. If it doesn't turn out the way you want to, just get a little bit more plastic, rewrap it, do it again, not a problem. Alright, so I'll heat this up here. As it heats up, I'll draw it back up here into like an evil smile almost. Same thing over here on this side. I got a little bit of a face there. Now I'm going to do the eyes. When I do the eyes, I kind of like, when I want the sinister look, I kind of go for a sideways triangle. Now once again, this is something where if it doesn't go the way you want it to, like that right there, pull that down right there. Put this eye up. Now if it doesn't go the way you want it to, easy enough to pull out. Another piece of plastic wrap and put it in there, and then just redo it. So now here I have a basic face. And as I'm looking at this face, I'm thinking, does it have the look that I wanted to? It's close, but it's not perfect. I'd like to have a little bit more of a cheek going up and down here, a little bit more of a cheek going down there. So I'm just going to get a piece of plastic or two. I'm going to spray them into place. There's a piece of adhesive. and try to fill this out just a little bit. So I hit up with a little adhesive there, a little adhesive there. Stick that on, let it get tacked on. Same thing there. Do the same thing to the other side. Do the heat gun. Do it with the heat gun. Use your finger, kind of mess it into place there. Put the heat gun here just a little bit. Pull this back just a little bit. And that's more of what I'm looking for right there. So here we've got the basic going, and it looks a little bit more demonic than it did when we started out. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little bit of plastic away from the teeth here and the teeth here, and then I'm going to be adding acrylic teeth, which is basically press-on nails. I'm going to cut them into shape, get a little bit of glue, super glue, stick them to the different teeth, and we'll be set. So let me show you how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the plastic away from the teeth so I can have access to the teeth. Just take a little bit of a razor blade, push that in there. You want to make sure you have a sharp razor blade. This one's starting to get a little bit dull. Get it down there. There. Peel that back. Get a pair of scissors. Cut that off. And shape it the way you want to. If that's enough teeth for you, great. If you want to show more teeth, show a little bit more teeth, that's fine. Now, and that's the thing about these. Now, what I think looks good, somebody else might be like, nah, I'd rather have it look that way. And that's all cool, because any way you do this, it's still going to look good by the time you're done. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit of the bottom teeth off. Cut it right here. That right there. Alright, hit this with the heat gun again real fast right here, just melt it down a little bit. Get a mix in there a little bit better, and you're set. And there, we've got our face that we're going to be working with. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the teeth. Now, when I do something like this, I like to have razor sharp teeth going all the way back. And the razor sharp teeth, as I said earlier, I'm using acrylic press-on nails. You can get them from most like Walgreens, most department stores. They look like this. Take them, cut them down in shape. Shape I like are little spikes. Kind of like that. With the teeth, I like to have the teeth going back up along the jaw lines to make it look like more like a full mouth of teeth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of clay here. So again, you don't need too much. Roll it into a nice little long log like that. Take a look where your teeth end on the bottom. and then press this in here, and it'll be a continuation of the teeth. What you're going to do is, as you're taking these teeth here, you're going to press them into the clay. Now, the clay itself may or may not stick very well. Normally, I find it does, but I also like to do a little extra step where I take a little bit of epoxy, mixed epoxy. I like to put epoxy around the clay. That way, as it dries, it adheres and stays together better. I don't epoxy the top though, where I put in the teeth, because the epoxy will keep the teeth from going in. So when you epoxy the teeth on, it's pretty simple. The teeth on, really put the epoxy on. Grab a tooth. Try not to get the epoxy on your gloves. It's better to get on your gloves than your hands, believe me. Put your tooth in there. I like to get a little wire or something to hold into place. Only need to hold it in place for a couple of seconds, not too long. And you got your tooth. You're going to do that all the way around. For the bottom, I always like to start with the clay part first. Just take the tooth, stick it right into the clay, like so. You got your first one. Your second one. You're just doing that all the way back. Position how you want, make it look the way that you want. All right, so I took a couple minutes, I put all the teeth in. You can see how they just kind of like go on, use a little bit of super glue, jam a couple into the clay, and you're pretty well set. Now, the last thing I like to do before putting this aside is I like to make the gums look good. And what I did is I get a little bit of acrylic paint. You can get it at most stores like Joann Fabrics and stuff for like $1 a bottle. And I get red and black. I put a bunch of red in there, a little bit of black to darken it up a little bit, and that gives me the color that I'm looking for my gums. So put this in here, kind of dripped on there, no biggie. Just kind of like get it up in there. I also like to get up on the top half of the teeth. Now, if you have any that drips down on the tooth a little bit, it's really not a big deal. Just get a little bit of brake cleaner or some sort of paint, like thinner, put it on a rag, wipe it off, and you're set. It'll take it right off the teeth, and it'll be like you're starting with a blank canvas. So I'm doing this all the way around, getting all the teeth, getting in between the teeth on the gums itself. Just trying to give it a nice cohesive look. Get all the way to the back, so forth. Now I'm going to get the bottom teeth. Build it up with the red and black coloring. It kind of makes the teeth look a little more prominent. You can also get the teeth back here. And just hit the bottom of those teeth. You don't have to get the whole thing. The other thing I'll do a little bit later is the clay itself. After the epoxy's all dry, that dries out, I get a little bit of paint and I paint over that also. Do this for all the teeth. Now you can paint the clay the same color as this. If you want to take this acrylic color, put that in there. You can paint it black, paint it red, whatever color looks good to you. Okay, and that's how you get a basic finished skull. Looks a little bit more macabre, a little bit more scarier than the skull that comes with most skeletons or that you get off the shelf. You can use it for a lot of different props. If you take a look back here, I used it for a tree prop back here. Used it for a ghost over here. And you can't see it very well, but I have a bunch of climbing creepers up here that I've also used that method to make them look a little bit scarier also. Going back down here. When you take a look at this, you can hit it with a hickory gel stain, an idea I got from Stiltby Studios. Gives it a nice brown color. You can also hit it with different color spray paints. You can hit it with a little bit of black spray paint, red spray paint, mist it on there, mix them together. You can get different color combos. Sure, you can use gray, whatever color you think looks good. On top of that, after you get it painted up, use a little bit of dry brushing, accentuate all these different wrinkles and all these things. It makes it really pop out and look really, really good. And that's how you horrify a skull.